Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
It's better to help people than garden gnomes, don't you think?
Don't know, the gnomes don't talk back, do they? Whereas, well, they might do in some films, but
You wouldn't put it past it in this film
no.
for them to be talking to you. So today we are talking, of course, about Amélie, which is a 2001 French film by director Jean-Pierre Jeunet. I believe I'm pronouncing that right anyway.
You're doing better than me, to be fair. I wouldn't even know where to start. Straight away when I picked up this cover, I said it was Amelia. That's how I... And the way that I'm getting myself through this is Amélie.
Amélie, yeah.
I'm trying to think in my head how to pronounce it, so credit to you, Paul, here on this one. I got dropped out of French class quite early on, to be fair, for me.
Right.
I think I was in year 7 and it was like, she's not very good at English, bless her. Can't make her learn another language when she's not very good at the first one.
Okay. Yeah, we only did like French and German in our classes.
Didn't even get to do German. I'd have loved that.
But I think we'd be better off doing like Spanish or something, because that's more widely recognised language around the world as many cultures.
I don't know why French is, not meaning this in a bad way to anyone, obviously languages, but in the UK that is one of the kind of most learnt kind of in school curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get Japanese or Chinese or anything like that.
Far too complex, I think.
Yeah, but I do know Calvin Yao.
All right, okay.
And that is I love you in Dutch. And Ich liebe dich, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, is I love you in German.
Okay, so you know how to say I love you in 2 different other languages, but that surprised me that you've been pulling those out of the bag, to be honest. So, anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. So, for me, this was one of the earlier introductions to French cinema, I suppose you could say. Or like films from other countries, like fairly early on discovering this one. When I saw it many moons ago, really took shine to it, and it's recognised as one of those by the critics anyway. There's one of these kind of like top tier list of films you should see, and it kind of noted as one like a feel good movie in an unconventional way.
Yeah, so for me, this is I think the second French film like that I've seen. I think only this year actually I've seen 2.
Yeah, within maybe the same week or so.
Yeah, literally in the same month, isn't it, really?
Yeah, let's say that, yeah.
But this one, I don't know. I've done a lot of Japanese kind of films, anime mainly, and kind of been able to get used to the subtitles. And I think because we've been to the city of like Tokyo and everything like that, I enjoy hearing that language.
Yeah, more attuned to that kind of speak.
Whereas when the French language came on, my brain was just a bit like, what? Why ain't this Japanese, I guess, in my head? I know that sounds really strange because that's all I've been kind of educated to. Mm-hmm. It took a bit to get adjusted for me when I was watching the films to kind of get the language in my head, and then reading and the feel of the film seemed to take a little bit longer with the subtitles. Also, they talk way fast.
In this one in particular, yes. Whereas the other one we watched, which was Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and that's obviously a lot slower, but that's a slower paced film anyway, so it's not going at a speed of knots with the dialogue.
I'm a bit dyslexic here, so I can't read that fast. So for me, I was missing bits, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? And then Paul's wanting me to write at the same time, and I'm like, are you having a laugh? Like, I can't do all of this at once.
No. To be honest, I was the same thing. I was like, oh, this is going quite quickly, and it's like, these are kind of key points, but I'm trying to write down at the same time. It's kind of, I'll just keep that in my mind, and just when it's a quiet bit, kind of
was there really that much of a quiet bit? Because you still had to watch what was going on, even if it was like they weren't speaking. You had to see the actions and everything like that.
Yeah.
But the French for me was a little bit at the beginning, but it was wrong, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't actually. It's not sinking into my head because I don't know the language, and it seemed really, really fast paced. Anyways, I was really finding it a bit of a struggle,
right? And
I think, weirdly. Not that it's my own fault, because I don't speak French, you know. So
well, neither do I.
But I think it spoiled it a little bit for me to try and. I felt like I was one of those, you know, when you're walking with your mum and you can't walk that fast and you're getting dragged a little bit.
Right.
That's how I kind of felt through the film. I was getting dragged through the film.
Okay.
Because I couldn't keep up. And there was a lot going on with the storyline as well. So there's a lot of characters, and you kind of got introduced to so many people within the flat. And
yeah. So to break it down simply as to what the premise is of the film, do you want me to kind of summarise that for people?
Literally, I think at the I got to a point of where I was like, screw this, I'm not writing any notes. I'm just going to wing this, and I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Because it was like, I was really enjoying it, but I had to give it my all.
Yeah, kind of solely focused on watching what you were seeing on screen rather than thinking, right, that's a key point, I'll write that down. It's kind of like just soaking it in, really.
Yeah, and I felt a little bit lost at times with it. So you reiterate in the storyline. All I know is obviously you've got a French lady who's
yeah,
Amélie.
Yep.
She's got a father. Her mother dies when she's quite young, and that's quite traumatic. I feel like it does really have a French kind of feel to this film.
Definitely, yeah.
It, like, I don't really know. Not me. Maybe somebody has died like that, but like a boy jumping out of the window and then squishing and flattening her mother, so she
almost
dies.
Like a dark comedy vibe to it, but it's.
I've never known that happen before in a film, or anyone really thought that that's a way you'd go. Really, you've then got quite a few people in the flat. So you've got the main lady who's like the housekeeper of the flat, or she rents flats out and lives there.
Madeline, the one who's the widow.
Yeah, that's got a stuffed dog.
Yeah.
And gets all these letters.
And so the main drive of the story is really that through her life, Amelie's had sort of like a traumatic childhood in the sense that she's not really had the connection with people because her parents are very secluded and introverted. So therefore she's an introvert as she grows up and develops. So there's a turn of events based around this the timing of when Princess Diana dies in 1997. The shock to her, and by some fluke she comes across this trinket box full of mementos for this person who's put them in this box, and she makes it sort of like a life purpose to try and return it to said person.
Yeah.
And try to bring some happiness to his life.
I remember one line of where she said that she will try and find him, and if it brings him joy, then she will do it again. If it doesn't, then she's not going to bother, basically.
Yeah.
I did find that quite funny, like, depending on how this one goes, I'll see, and I'll carry on doing it, but if I don't get anything out of it and he's not grateful, I won't bother. Yeah. But don't you remember, I don't know if when you were ever little, having like a little bit of a memory box?
Yeah.
What kind of things did you have in yours? Because I'm one of those for a really keepsake kind of thing. So like I've got a box from school.
Yeah, did you ever do like time capsule things and when you're at school and then you got like drawings or writings down and they got you to put those in that time capsule? So obviously in however many years time when someone digs it up, they'll be like, oh, this is what life was like back in 19 whatever kind of thing. But I think it was more that kind of stuff. But I've probably got like things like, you know, ticket stubs of gigs I've been to and stuff that are probably in a more recent-ish one. But in terms of when I was little, I don't think there'd be many things, or, you know, there's kind of like things I wish I'd kept, obviously. But, you know, your parents just like, oh, this is rubbish, don't need this, get rid of it kind of thing. But
I think I've got, mine's more like my upper school kind of thing that I've got from mine, really.
So from doing this, she kind of like makes, as we said before, about how it's to help people find their happiness. And in doing so, she kind of goes on her own little journey of finding true love herself by means of doing this. So that's the long and short of what happens throughout the story. And it's like there is a lot going on in terms of the narrator going, like you sort of said, a rate of knots, describing everything, and like Amelie's likes and dislikes, her little quirks that she has from when she was younger and also when she's more of an adult. Some of the things that I kind of liked about it was she does like a little fourth wall breaking with that when she's looking at the camera directly and saying, I like to look back at people in the cinema and see their reactions to faces and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually quite liked that line. And actually I was thinking to myself, oh, when the cinemas do open up, I've never really done that, to be fair. I've been too intrigued in the actual film, unless there's like a sad part and I'm crying and I want to see if anybody else is upset or if I'm just being like oversensitive. Yeah. But I think that is an interesting line too.
Yeah. And also the other one she says where she likes when she notices things that other people might not see. I think there was like a insect on the film screen or something, but then the line where she says, I hate it in old movies where the drivers don't watch the road.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's quite a funny observation there.
It's so true though, isn't it? Because really, technically, they aren't even driving, and that's why it's not.
Yeah,
they're not watching it because they're just like on this little screen that's moving behind
rear
them.
projection.
Yeah.
Do you have any things in films that annoy you in that kind of sense? Like you hate it in films when such and such happens? Is there anything like that? Is it more like in comedies when it's like I hate it when they do stupid things that don't make sense?
Yeah. Like the fact of this one where the boy jumps out and kills the mum, and I'm like, I kind of just looked at you like, I don't really know what's happening here. I'm like, oh, so there's like that one, and then for example, we had that other thing the other day when we reviewed it with laughing at ourselves.
Yeah, what if when he falls out the window and he's
knocks the future ex-boyfriend out of the window.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit too extreme for me. Like that's not real life. Like you don't really hear that on the news, do you? Ex-boyfriend got chucked out of the window, or
accidentally,
mother got killed by boy committing suicide.
Well, you probably would hear that, but
not mother got killed, but not by a boy landing on top of her committing suicide.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. But what about? Anyways, enough about me. What about you? What would yours be? I feel like yours is you're gonna come out with something really, really smart and.
No, it's really a really stupid one, to be honest. It's like, well, there's two things, I guess. It's one where people maybe like having a meal or something, or having a drink, and then they start eating it, and then for some reason they get called away or they're having a heated argument or something, and they just walk off and leave the food or drink or whatever. It's like, oh, no, finish your food. Come on. You paid for that or whatever, and it's kind of like, oh, no. Or the other one is when, I think noticeably it was actually more when, I think it was when cartoons, it kind of annoyed me, weirdly. But it's a cartoon world, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But it's like when, especially like kid characters open doors or whatever, and then they don't shut them. It's like they just go, oh, let's go out and play, and then it's like, well, shut the door behind you. Kind of thing. It's really just an odd thing that really just like, that really irks
in the
me.
front door, though?
Oh, yeah.
Not like just like a living room door that you
No, like that leads to your house kind of thing. It's like, well, come on.
I was thinking, God, I don't shut every door in the house. Is that a problem? Secretly annoying you every time I don't shut a door.
No, just don't leave the door wide open then to think, well, what, you're coming back to shut it, right? Anyway.
With the food scenario, mine's always annoying when, like, they don't pay attention to how much, let's say they've done a retake on a film where they're eating, and, like, the glass fills up again.
Oh, right, yeah, like, continuity error.
Yeah. And, like, the amount of food they're eating.
Yeah.
I notice that because I'm a big foodie, so I'm like, oh, what are you eating? And I realise, like, there's little errors there. But...
Yeah. So, anyway, so we've got those things, and then there's talking about food, she kind of sticks in my mind as well with this, is when she's about, she likes the breaking the creme brulee.
I don't blame her. Yeah. I love a good creme brulee.
So, yeah, there's the sharp editing cuts when the narrator and Amélie herself is describing like her likes and dislikes and all this stuff. And the same with these other characters we kind of get introduced to. sharp, snappy, and kind of like goes at a fast pace to go through all of that. To go, here's this character, and here's this character, and all that stuff, and here's what they like, here's what they don't like, and even mentioning like what a cat likes to hear children's stories being read. Is that really how would you know that? But
I was sat there, isn't he, listening?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, but it's obviously it's very French to put it in a sense, but it's lively and upbeat in a sense, and kind of going at a rate of knots. But it's very enjoyable, I think, in the way it's done.
There was a lot of bits for me where I was a little bit left in the dark, and I was like trying to add up certain pieces initially, like with the photo booth bit. I didn't really get what was going on. I don't know if you, because you rewatched it again, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there was only bits I kind of remembered here and there, particularly like more things with the characters in the cafe type of thing.
Yeah.
More than the photo booth. That was
more coherent.
Yeah, because that sounded a bit more normal and slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was easier to follow, whereas this photo booth relationship, I don't know, it was like initially my thoughts had panned to that this guy that they kept seeing the face, like he kept on going to the photo booth and you saw this bald-headed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, is he a criminal? Is he trying to practice for his mugshots or something? You know, I was like, it didn't look like the most friendliest of men, and with this album that this
love interest, or soon-to-be love interest of our lead lady, he's called Nino, I believe, that she discovers through the means of him going under the photo booth and trying to dig out old pictures of things. And she kind of assists in helping him solve the mystery of who this person he keeps finding, this bald-headed person. Is he a criminal? You know, what's he done? Why does he keep taking pictures in these different cities and stuff? What's that all about, kind of thing? But
I mean, it just seemed a bit strange. I couldn't really get, until we got to the end, understand what the relationship was between them, like the main character and Nino. I was like, I don't know what that is, if it's a love-hate kind of thing, if they were intrigued by one another. So I think it was a bit kind of mysterious, whereas the other ones were fast-paced, but like the relationship within the restaurant, that was kind of clear as day. You also kind of could see, I quite liked it when she helped the guy at the vegetable kind of stall.
Yeah,
I quite liked that part, kind of cynical a little bit with the way that she was kind of making this other man feel like he was being stir crazy with the certain things she did.
I really enjoyed that part, yeah. So, because he was making fun of this worker, calling him, I don't know, you wouldn't get away with it these days, but you call him a spastic.
Yeah.
And it's like,
maybe
that's dated a little bit, but that's not very PC.
No, but I don't know what kind of culture they have over there, if that is something that can be said or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's that.
Yeah, he was more taking his time, and he was cautious, and he was more caring towards the produce and everything like that. Yeah. So a little bit, I wouldn't say he was even that kind of word, or even a little bit simple. I don't even think he was that. He was just more caring, and this guy just wanted the sales in. Yeah.
So then she takes it upon herself to do little pranks, which I kind of find quite amusing. Just, simple things that you do through everyday life, like autopilot mode, like going to the bathroom and grabbing the handle. And she switched the handles different ways. She swapped the toothpaste for the foot cream initially, because again, if you're drowsy, sleepy, you just grab whatever you
made
think.
Him wake up at the crack of dawn as well, didn't she?
And things like that, and changed his slipper size. So he was like, "What's going on? Why can't I get my feet in this? Or I haven't grown that much and that stuff." So yeah, I really enjoyed those scenes. There's a couple of those as well. I think
weirdly, I enjoyed that more, and I understood it more than the relationship at the end. So obviously there was another part where she looks after like an air hostess's cat for a bit.
Yeah,
and she gives her dad's gnome to her, and like kind of steals him.
Yeah,
and makes this air hostess take pictures while the gnome is abroad, sending like postcardy pictures saying, "Look where I've been."
It's by means of getting her dad to go out and explore the world, because he's like you said, he's kind of like an introvert as well, and he's very unsociable. He doesn't really want to be anywhere other than where he lives. So it's kind of like, say, well, your gnome, who's a solitary item, and he's look where he's been. Look at this amazing Machu Picchu or wherever, and it's kind of like, wow, it's sort of an inspiration for him to do, which he does get his resolve at the end with that. So it's like, oh, that's a good thing to get the motivation there.
Enjoy the moral behind the story.
Yeah,
I do think if I rewatch it, I think I would probably enjoy it more the second time around.
Yeah, I don't know what I kind of expected your reaction to be from the first watch. I kind of thought, well, it is a sort of a quirky love story, rom-com vibe to it.
It's very quirky.
But it's very not unconventional in the way it does it. So maybe that's a lesson learned there, thinking if it's too wild and wacky, maybe it's not expecting you to be like, oh, I love this, unless it's something that really grabs you from the get-go. So when we come to scoring, I'm not sure what you'll get from it.
I don't even know yet.
But so, and I mean, like, the use of cinematography is really nice in this. This is what also draws me to, and kind of memorable in the terms of like the colour palette that we have going on through it as well.
Yeah, it is really, really kind of gone towards like the yellow and green, kind of a bit more saturated in that sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of getting a bit more vibrant. It's more like your hues are...
Yeah, that gives a sort of warmth to it in this, like, what in Amelie's world is kind of like that kind of like imaginary world that she lives in, like a very fictionalized version of Paris.
Yes.
Where it's set, and it's kind of like everything's all like hunky-dory and, you know, like almost like a cartoon world.
I feel like that's a little bit kind of true, because obviously, like, not meaning this in a bad way, like skipping stones. I feel like that's quite a childlike thing to still want to do. Like playing poo sticks. Like, that's my kind of logic towards that. She's still quite in tune with her childlike self, but she's, I think what's nice is with the ending, she's thinking of everybody else throughout the film, how to make them happy and give them a little bit. Which
I kind of relate to you a little bit, because you more often not, you do say sometimes to yourself, like, I'm always thinking about how I want to make other people feel happier, but I kind of put them before myself in a way. So there's that relation to this, to you, I guess.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that in the end she gets her little bit of happiness, like
that she
the
deserves,
karma is it kind of comes back to her, because obviously she's doing good by everybody else. And
this person that she kind of is intrigued by and like sort of tests throughout, he's got these quirks as well, as that, so they're kind of well suited to one another. The fact that he's collecting these photos, and he also has these kind of like an imaginary world where he's like talking to the photographs that he finds about, like, you know, what's she like kind of thing, and as if like it's very amusing and childlike. Yeah, it is as well. And I think it's with the pictures and obviously the photographs, I quite like that idea of kind of the cut up, ripped up pictures, trying to montage the faces together. I really enjoyed that side of things. And obviously she kind of trickily sent him messages, and it was all quite mysterious. Yes, and then they meet, don't they, in is it the train station? Yes. I think there's been instances where they're kind of like, or they've missed one another, or she's kind of like, meet me here at such and such a time, and then ring a phone booth, and she'll be like a couple of feet away or something in a different phone booth, like, oh, look for the arrows or whatever, and things like that, to kind of like a riddle to solve, to see how far he's willing to go to find out about her and whether he's worth her time, type of thing. Yeah, and as well, I think he wanted his book back. Yeah. In all fairness, but then after that, even when he got that back, didn't he? He still pursued her. Yeah. I think I've quite liked the kind of clue side of things in that sense, and the visuals are really, really pleasing. I do think I enjoyed sometimes the more her helping others, but I don't know if that's just a... No, I get that, because you do like doing that yourself, really. But yeah. I don't know if you've ever tried to hook up people together, you know, like, oh, I think somebody fancies you type of thing, or set somebody up. I don't know if you've ever done like she did, or... I've done that in school before. Yeah. I think twice in school. And actually one of the couples is still together now. Okay.
And I think they're married and they've got a child, so I've got a keen eye somewhere for it. But not when I was much older. I've not really been able to see it as much. But when I was younger, I was quite good at being in tune with that. But I think, yeah, I can see that she tries her best to help anyone. Like, I would love to do what she did to certain people. You know, like that mean guy that's being horrible to somebody. And it's like, yeah, show you, kind of get a key into the house and mess.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, not too harmful. Yeah. It's not going to, like, die over or anything like that. But just kind of be like, well, yeah, you shouldn't be
so mean to people.
Yeah, there's no point, is there? It's not going to get you anywhere. And I think she's really is a kind-hearted soul, I think.
But there's also the angle with this as well, because obviously she does try to set up two characters. Joseph, who's like an ex of Gina, who works at the cafe, and then plants the seed to Georgette, who's like behind the cigarette counter, kind of, and you know, like putting that seeds of interest for them to like, oh, well, maybe we do like one of the kind of, you know, like you sit over there, and she kind of looks over at you, kind of thing, and yeah, that kind of thing going on, which kind of works for a little bit, but then soon goes south a little bit, and it's like it's not perfect. So there's still that thing, you know, you can try your hardest, but sometimes it just doesn't work out how you want it to. But
I think, to be fair to her, it takes two to tango, and they needed to make the effort. She can't constantly be meddling.
She can't be doing all the work. But
no.
And I did like also the fact that, I guess we'd say a neighbour or across the other apartment anyway, this person is known as the Glass Man because his bones are so brittle. So she helps, you know, assists with his life, and she has these conversations with him about certain things, but he at the same time occasionally kind of like sees into her life and what she's trying to do as well, you know, with helping out with the writing that missing letter and the things like that. So he kind of knows that she's trying to find love, and he at the end sort of gives her like the final push to, you know, pursue the person that she's been so enamored with. And that's like a nice thing that, you know, it's not just her trying to do it all, it's somebody else is kind of like, yeah, come on, you can do this.
Is he the one that was the painter? And
that's right, yeah.
And because I don't think she gelled with him initially, because she took a little bit of offence with the girl with the water.
Which I think there's parallel there with the fact that she had, what you said, the girl with the glass, and she had a glass in her hand as well. So it's kind of like, well, there's a similarity there, and when she said, oh, maybe she's just different, because he can't quite capture the essence of her or something in the painting. So and the fact that she's also quite a different, quirky character as well.
And as well, he kind of said she was it like kind of introverted and kind of, and she was like trying to say there's nothing wrong
with that, exactly. So it's
kind of defending herself a little bit.
And within herself, there's kind of like this situations where she's like watching television, and it's kind of like seeing her life, almost like dramatising her life a little bit. Yeah, there's a bit of a funny thing there, as if like, you know, she's passed away, and it's kind of like a Mother Teresa type thing, like, oh, the world cried when she died because she was helping out so many people, and it's like,
I didn't really truly understand what was going on at that point. I'm thinking,
it's a bit like, huh, what?
Yeah, it took me a little bit to think, that's her, and I'm like, she's watching herself on TV, and I was a little bit slow kind of coming to around that, but it was quite clever the way that she kind of, it portrayed what she kind of hoped others, or what she thought
would see from her efforts.
Even though, to be fair, I know it sounds really horrible, they won't have even known it was her, because she's so anonymous with everything she does.
So silent hero.
So like no one would even thank her probably, because they wouldn't know she's done it, because she's not like singing it at the top of the roof. But I've noticed as well, they also sent the elderly man, you know, across the road, videos of weird tape clips of like somebody dancing a horse, winning a race, but got no like jockey or anything like that. And just like these kooky kind of tapes that she'd put together for him or recorded.
There was the funny part when she first does the the pranks in the shopkeeper's apartment, and then she does this little thing with the dressed up as Zorro and does the thing on the door as if like, so it's, again, she's in her own head, I guess, feeling that she's like sort of the hero in like, haha, I've
shown you,
yeah, exactly.
Bless her.
Yeah, it's funny.
She's quite sweet and kind of a little bit
mischievous, I suppose.
Yeah, and a bit quirky in the sense of the way that she does things or thinks of things. Like, I don't really think I would be that creative with my revenge, so to speak.
There was a couple of instances where there was sort of like, well, CG stuff, particularly like animals in the photo frames and the lamp as well. Looking back, that didn't look too bad in terms of for when the film was made in 2001. So I wouldn't say it was like, that looks a bit rubbish or anything like that.
Still strange though.
Oh yeah, still strange. No, not gonna lie, but yeah.
I think I really would want to kind of go back on this and rewatch. I think personally for me, when I get my French up in order.
Oh, don't worry, I'm not expecting you to learn ins and outs of the language.
I will be learning it. No, I think it is, if you're wanting something that's a little bit unique, a little bit quirky,
out of the norm, yeah.
Not something that's straightforward, that it's not really predictable, is it?
Oh no. No way could you really predict.
I don't really know how the person's even wrote this, like what planet they're on to write it, to be fair. Like, they've got a different kind of outlook on life, which is appealing, really. I still don't know how I truly feel about, I feel like I'm going to disappoint you. So, like, obviously I really loved The Notebook and I gave it a 10. And I feel like you quite like this one. And I'm struggling to, apart from that the character was quite nice and giving. That's the only really, really nice part about the story. The rest of it seems a little bit bizarre. Like, you're kind of taking on this roller coaster ride of events happening.
Yeah, speaking of roller coasters, just for a second, one of the instances I found a bit strange, which I do not remember at all, was when she's meeting, I guess it's the Nino character, and she goes on this ghost ride, whatever you want to call it, and she's going through on it, and we assume it's him in this skeleton costume, and it's very sexualized in this weird way. So it's like, well, is that sort of like part of her fantasy? Is that part of his fantasy? Is this actually really happening? It's kind of like that's a bit of an odd
It's
thing.
So weird, because like, I thought she might have screamed or something. It's like kind of caressing her face in a weird way. Okay. And I'm like, I'm sorry, if I was on one of those ghost rides and then a skeleton came on the back of my cart, I'm sorry, it'd either be A, shoved off, or B, I'd be screaming like the haunted house ghost train down. Yeah. I wouldn't be just sat there like, But, like, how does she even know who he is? You can't even see his face.
Exactly, so it's a bit...
You're just going to let anyone touch you up on a ghost train? Because I wouldn't.
Yeah, very strange.
Very, very peculiar. I do think, to be fair, The Notebook for me, for this Valentine's Day kind of weekends that we've had, outweighs this one completely for me. And it's just, obviously, nostalgia with that one. Okay. I think I don't really have too much attachment to this one, and I'm really sorry I might break your heart.
I understand that. It's not like it's a difficult watch, I'd say. It's very interesting, to say the least. But
I think, I'm sorry, please don't shoot me, anybody who does speak French. I think I'd have really enjoyed it, and this is the really bad British side of me. Mm-hmm. If it was in English, or if it wasn't as fast-paced, one or the other, so that I could keep up. I think
if it was like everything else remained the same, but it was the cast were speaking in English.
Yes.
Yeah, without the subtitles, that might have helped things. Do you think?
I think just because
in this instance,
the story's such fast paced.
Okay.
I found it really hard to understand what was going on. It's quite quirky as well, so it's kind of trying to piece the puzzle together. Then you've got reading involved, as well as then this weird French kind of narrator who is very, 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 very French. He's quite flamboyant with it. Not just like a natural, like when Amélie was speaking, it wasn't so bad. She was quite fast though.
Yeah.
There was one scene I remember quite clearly, and I was like, I think she was taking a blind man across the street or something like that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she was walking down the street, one of her good deeds, and it's kind of like, oh, this woman is wearing this jacket that her husband had, and the sausages are on sale at some Frank's or whatever, and it's kind of like the boy's laughing at looking at a dog who's looking at the chicken in the window, and then it's kind of like
it's lovely, but she's dragging him across the street pretty much, like literally. Yeah. Poor man's elderly, slow down a little bit and just be like, right, okay, and over at this side is the dog looking at the chicken while the child's looking at the dog,
Yeah,
a little bit slower, but maybe French people are maybe more fast paced. Maybe us Brits just like to take it down a little bit and be like, right, okay, breathe for a breath.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me personally, and I'm so sorry that I should say that, if it was in English or if it was a bit slower French, just so that I got time to kind of enjoy it. Yeah, because I think I probably missed so much of the lovely, appealing camera skills just because I had to read. So I felt like the actual picture itself was wasted on me a little bit.
Right, okay.
So I couldn't see the beauty as much because I was too focused on having to read what...
Right,
because there's a lot of dialogue. So I'm used to when I'm reading, like, an anime where it's not many words and the picture kind of tells you the story itself.
Okay. It's a bit... You mean it can be a bit more straightforward with anime rather than this very short bursts of like, this is... I like to do this, and then quickly cut to something else, or this person at this particular point in time was also doing this kind of thing. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I kind of understand that. I guess I feel at fault for in a way to introducing you to this, and expecting you to maybe like, oh, I'd love this from the first get go. It might take another watch or a couple to really grasp it.
Don't get me wrong, I would love to watch it again to understand it and get the concept and be able to appreciate it for what it is. Yeah. Also, it's probably my own fault that I'm not very great at reading. Not that I'm not great, but like Paul can literally, you are really a fast reader. Mm-hmm. I'm a little bit slower than you, aren't I? So like, you could read a page in like 10 seconds, ridiculous or something. You just like probably take me 10 minutes. So
give yourself some credit, sir.
So there was bits where I missed, but I think definitely I would advise people to go and watch it. I wouldn't say don't.
Oh no, yeah.
And it is quite appealing.
Okay, so what would you, based on first watch, but you can say what you might give it if you were to revisit it again, maybe potentially. What, based on that sort of scoring, what would you sort of go for with this as a first watch on your experience?
Okay.
I'm not going to be upset with what you say unless it's less, like 5 or less.
What did you get the Notebook?
6.
I think that's what I'm not saying that because you gave the Notebook a 6. I'm really not. But I think in my head, I would probably have to say a 6.
Okay.
Just for personal enjoyment, I felt a little bit dragged through the film trying to catch up. There were certain bits which were really enjoyable, like we said about when she was going into the shopkeeper's house, and that was because I think there's no words. You didn't need to...
Just the visuals, yeah.
And then I could actually really enjoy the visuals then and see them for what they were, and the camera skills, the colours, the way that they were quite clever with the way they filmed. To be honest, I'd rather it have been if they didn't speak at all and kind of one of those stop...
Like a silent film.
Yeah. I could see it being...
In a way, it could potentially really be that, just like the odd, like almost like Mr. Bean character, or like Shaun the Sheep, where it's kind of like just thing, and that would work just as well if it was told the right way and showed clearly in the visuals.
Yeah, I think I would probably, I know it sounds horrible, get more value out of it for the picturesque appeal, because I know there's a lot I've missed.
Okay, yeah.
I do feel bad because obviously I know you really, really highly enjoyed this one, and I think a little bit tit for tat. I guess you didn't enjoy the Notebook as much as I did, and I don't think I enjoyed this one
for me much. Yeah, well, don't get too hung up on I'm thinking I've got a ridiculously high benchmark for this film. For me, it's definitely a solid 8.
Okay.
I think it's one of the more accessible French or foreign language films to get into if you're wanting to sort of like venture into that area of cinema. And so, like I said, it was kind of the early ones that I learnt about from like film studies and just general consensus from critics and stuff. So yeah, so it does have like a wow, this is thing. But there's, as I've grown to appreciate other films and different languages, there's more like things that reach that higher grade of, oh, this is definitely, not to say this is bad in any way, it's great, but this is just a very solid 8 thing. It's very enjoyable, it's quirky, it's amusing, and it's very easy to enjoy, I think, really.
Yeah, if you can keep up, that is. Yeah, I would say so. I think for me, I was just kind of comparing, because I haven't actually, I'm a bit biased with the films that I do watch that are subtitled, really. The only other one I can think of that is a different language for me was Parasite.
That was Korean, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, not being too, it is a little bit similar to kind of the Japanese kind of culture, so it's
the Eastern.
Yeah. So I think it wasn't so bad. It was still easier to read and catch up, whereas this, because it was such fast pace, I think it's either put it on a little lag for me.
0.5 speed maybe.
Then we might be all right. But I 100% would recommend anyone to go watch it, rewatch it, because it's on my rewatch list to get as much value, because I do think I would really like the character. If I could appreciate it.
You got the gist of it now, and the mannerisms of what the film's trying to get across.
Because I can't even comment on her acting, because it's like I was too busy reading to get the gist of what was going on, because it was so many side stories. It wasn't like it was just one meet cute with boy meets girl. There were so many other things going on that you really had to read the dialogue, whereas now I know the basics, I could kind of
what to focus on.
I could then enjoy the rest of it.
No, I kind of understand that, because certainly at the beginning, where it's kind of like, at this time somebody did this, and then at the same time somebody did that, and it's kind of like, well, what does that really mean anything to the thing? What does that add to the story? Is that relevant other than the fact that it's kind of like, it's just similarities that are relating to this one particular thing.
I'm hoping next time, whatever we're watching, is going to be a little bit more easier on me, maybe.
Yeah, nothing set in stone on that yet. I've yet to think of what that might be, but we are soon approaching March, and that means what's going to be a new staple, which I'm looking forward to, because there's got a few options there on the list for Monster March.
It's going to end up breaking my heart again. Like King Kong, kind of, all of that again, just going through stuff that's with the monsters always being hurt. I just don't like it. I'm all team monsters. Like, kill the humans, I don't care.
That's why I get the enjoyment out of them as well. It's like monsters killing people.
But then they always get hurt and caged up, and then it's sad.
Depends what the monster is, of course, but So, thank you very much for listening, everybody.
I'm sorry that I haven't been able to give much input on this one, and I'm grateful that Paul has taken the
reins
a little bit, and helped support me on this one. I feel like I really wanted to enjoy it. So it was our Valentine's Day weekend movie. And I was just a little bit disappointed, I guess, a little bit. But thank you so much for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely go and tune in and listen to the Notebook one, because if you liked hearing me talk, then
raving about a film that Sophie really likes, and that's definitely one to check.
Please do. I'm hoping at some point that's going to be like the most watched one. It probably won't be, but
most listened to. Never know. Get those numbers up, people.
So speaking of which, Paul can tell you where you can find us.
You can find us on most of the very well-known audio platforms, your iTunes, where if you wouldn't mind giving us a 5-star rating, that would be fantastic. And, of course, so we've got Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. I think these are new ones as well.
I was going to say, I don't even know what these are. I'm not down with the kids.
The new ones. And of course, Podbean, where we, the host, our main podcast hosting site is. And of course, please do give us messages or comments and likes and follows on Instagram and Twitter under the handle SP Film Viewers. That's where you can find us. Anything else, Soph?
No, just really hope you've enjoyed it. Keep watching films because that's the only thing we can do to preoccupy ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There is TeePublic.
Yep.
So if you do want an SP Film Viewer logo
on your t-shirts and hoodies, mugs, flags and masks, even
flags.
Yep, that's one of the things they have on there.
Oh, that's so strange.
Wave the banners.
Yeah, definitely go and check it out. I know Paul does really well to publicise that. So I hope you've all had a good week and I hope you've enjoyed listening to us.
Yep. So take care and we'll speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.